Hi guys, I am Shahidul Islam. I will be presenting a video lecture session today powered by Leading Institute platform. We will simulate real world exam environments through mock physics test paper discussed and tuned in NEET pattern. Here are few last minute pointers for the forthcoming examinations. Dear student, when you study, remember never give up. The problem is not the problem is your attitude about the problem. The secret of getting ahead is getting started. Every morning you have two choices. One, continue to sleep with your dreams, or wake up and chase them. You do not try to do better than anyone else. You only try to do better than yourself. In this year particularly, the students have had extra time to prepare for the examinations. Although many may experience anxiety over the postponement of NEET, but this is an opportunity that can be blessing in disguise. The last few days will be a period of anxiety, but this period will be the most useful for revision and elimination of any minor faults and gaps. Remember 4 points. Number 1, create a functional and balanced timetable for 12 to 13 hours of studying with well-timed breaks plus one mock test period from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. This will help create a structure and student can utilize their time efficiently. Number 2, with only few days remaining, don't begin a new chapter or prepare from any new material or textbook, because this will only cause confusion. Number 3, limit all distractions, put away your cell phone during the study time and get on this YouTube mock simulation only during the breaks. And number 4, practice at least one mock paper per day exactly from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. as possible to increase the speed and understand your own ability better. Focus the following topics. In the case of physics, you better go through this and revise all these chapters: modern physics, particularly modern physics and semiconductors, devices, magnetism, magnetic materials, current, electricity, Newton's laws of motion, system of particles and rotational motions, kinetic theory of gas, thermodynamics, atomic chapters, particularly kinetic theory of gas, thermodynamics and atomic structure. It is very important chapters because it is also common in the chemistry syllabus. Please subscribe to the channel and hop abroad the NEET trend. Also, please share the link with other aspirants so that everyone can reap the benefits of free education. It is now time for the first questions. Section A, I will be dealing with 1 to 35 questions, and questions number 1, if force and length and time are taken as fundamental units, then dimension of mass are. Dimension of mass in terms of force in terms of length, in terms of time, force, length and time are taken fundamental units. So if the force and length and time are the fundamental units, then the dimension of mass will be here: dimension of m, dimension of f to the power a, dimension of l to the power b, and dimension of t to the power c. We know the dimension of f, it is m l t to the power minus 2 to the power a it is L to the power B and T to the power C, and we can rearrange this M A L A plus B and T, it is twice A plus C. Comparing this from comparing the left hand side and right hand side, we can say A is equal to 1, the value of A is equal to 1. So immediately after this, the value of A is equal to 1, so we can discard the option 2, because here the power of force is given, it is 0, and A plus B is equal to 0. So therefore we can write B is equal to minus 1. So after finding out of value of B, it is minus 1. So we can immediately after this we can discard the option 3 and option 4, and here the correct option matches with 1. Let us move to our next problem of this session. The two bodies A and B of mass 20 kg and 10 kg respectively are connected by massless spring as shown in figure. So two bodies are connected by the springs, massless spring, one having the mass 20 kg and other having the mass 10 kg. But in this problem, at an instant, the acceleration of the body, it is given in the problem. Here we have to find the acceleration. You know, according to the Newton's second law, the mass force equal to mass into acceleration. So we can the force given on the system of bodies will be utilized in producing the acceleration of the two bodies. Here the force given on the body, let us say it is F, and the mass of the body, it is m1, and acceleration of the body is a1, and acceleration of this body, it is m2, and acceleration of this body is a2. Since these two bodies are connected by the spring, so at an instant, at the time of starting, immediately after starting of the motion, the acceleration of the both body are not the common acceleration. If it is connected by the inextinguishable string, then the both body having the common acceleration. But here in the case, the two body are connected by the spring, so immediately after starting, the both body have not the common acceleration. They will have the different acceleration since it is connected by the spring. Here the amount of force is given is 200 and mass of this body is 20. Acceleration given it is 12 meter per second square. It is 12, and the mass of the other body is 10, and acceleration, it was taken a2. So simply it is 10 a2 equal to 200 minus 120, and 10 a2 equal to 80, and finally the acceleration of the other body is 4 meter per second square, and the right option here is 2. Next problem. The positions vector of a particle, it is given r vector equal to a sine omega t I cap plus a cos omega t j cap. Velocity vector, we can write rate of change of positions vector. You know, it is omega a cos omega t I cap plus minus omega a sine omega t j cap. R dot V, it will be omega square sine omega t cos omega t I dot I 1, and J dot J, it is also omega square sine omega t cos omega t. So the dot product of the positions vector and velocity of the particle, it is equal to 0, and by this way you can say V is perpendicular to R vector, that is position vector, and the right option here perpendicular to the position vector, that is correct option is 2. Next problem. A 100-meter long train crosses a man traveling 5 meters per second in opposite direction in 4 seconds, then velocity of the train. Time given is t. Let us say the length of the train is L. Since the train and the person moving in opposite direction, so the relative velocity of the train with respect to persons, we can write here is v plus 5, and by just putting the value of t is 4 seconds given in the problem. The length of the train is 100 meter. Velocity of train we have to find out here, and the velocity of the person given is 5. So 4v plus 20 equal to 100, and 4v is equal to 80, and finally the velocity of the persons is equal to 20 meter per second. And the correct option here is 3. Question number 5 says an electric pump on the ground floor of the building takes 10 minutes to fill the tank of volume 30 meter cube with water. If the tank is 60 meter above the ground and the efficiency of the pump is 30%, then how much electric power is consumed by the pump in filling the tank? First of all, the mass of water, it is volume into density, and the volume of the water given in this problem, it is 30 meter cube. It is 30 meter cube, and density 1000 kg per meter cube in SI system. So this is 3 into 10 to the power 4 kg. So this is the mass of the water that will be lifted up by the motor pump, and the work done required, W equal to mgh. Simple, it is 3 into 10 to the power 4 into 10 into 60, and finally it is 1.8 is 10 to the power 7 joule. So this amount of work is to be done by the pump to lift this water. But here the efficiency of the pump is given is 30% only. So this work done to lift the water, that will come from the actual work done by the pump. On 30% of the actual work done by the pump, 30%, it is 30 by 100, and actual work is done by the pump is, let us say, W prime. W prime is the actual work is done by the pump, and 30% of this work done is utilized to lift up the water at 60 meter above the ground. So the actual work done by motor pump, it is W by 0.3 and 1.8 10 to the power 7 by 0.3, and finally it is 6 into 10 to the power 7 joule. Power. Power of motor pump P equal to actual work done by pump by time taken to lift up the water, and it was already calculated, so this would be 6 into 10 to the power 7 by time. It's 10 minutes given in the problem, that is 600 seconds, and finally it is 1 into 10 to the power 5 watt, and it is 100 kilowatt. So the power of the motor pump here, 1 into 10 to the power 5 watt, and it is 100 kilowatt, and the right option here is 1. Next problem. The velocity of particle of mass m is 5 I cap plus 4 j cap plus 6 k cap when at r equal to minus 2 I cap 4 j cap 6 k cap, the angular momentum of the particle about the origin. You know, angular momentum m r cross v, and this can be written in this way: I cap, j cap, k cap, coefficient of I cap minus 2, coefficient of j cap 4, and coefficient of k cap it is 6. Similarly, coefficient of I cap 5, 4, 6, and we can write in this way: 4 into 6, that is 4 into 6 24, minus 4 into 6 24, it is 0 I cap, plus 6 into 5, that is 6 into 5 is 30, minus 6 into 2 12, minus 12, so minus 30 minus 12, it is 42 j cap, plus minus 2 into 4, minus 2 into 4 minus 8, minus 20, minus 8 minus 20, so minus 28 k cap, and the right option here is m, 42 j cap minus 22 k cap. And the angular momentum of the particle matches with the answer. You know, here the option 2 is the correct answer. The next problem of this session: two masses A and B of mass 10 kg and 5 kg respectively are connected with a string passing over a frictionless pulley. In this diagram, one body is placed on a on a surface of table having the coefficient of static friction 0.2, and this body is A, and another body is placed over the body C, and the body is connected by a string passing over the pulley. This body is B. The mass of the body A is given, it is 10 kg, and the mass of the body given in this problem, it is equal to 5 kg. Another body is placed over the surface of A, body A. Here the minimum mass of C that may be placed on A to prevent from the moving. This means the system will remain stationary, and here because of the weight of the body mBg, because of this weight, the total system, that is two body A and C, will try to move rightward because of the weight of mgb, and this movement will be resisted by the frictional force F, and maximum friction that can be act between the surface of A and the surface of table, it is, let us say, F max. And here in the string, you know, tension acts from body, same string, same tension. So in equilibrium, we can say maximum friction is equal to tension, and here tension equal to mb into g. That is, friction, maximum friction will be balanced by the tension in the string, and here the tension will be, since that string is same, so tension acts from body, and the string is same, and tension here in the case of this body, tension is equal to, since this body is at a stationary condition, R at the verge of the movement, so we can write here that T is equal to mBg, and in this body system we can write tension is equal to maximum friction, and maximum friction can be deduced, you know, this is mu total mass of body A and the mass of body C into G. This is the normal reaction, and it is mB into G. So this is the necessary equation for solving this problem, and finally the answer in the calculation, the value of mu is 0.2. The value of mu is 0.2 given, and the mass of the body is 10 kg. It is given is 10 kg. The mass of the body C, we have to find out here. It is 10, and it is 5 into 10. And in this way, you can write it is 0.2 mc we can write here it is 20 into 2 mc equal to 50. So 2 mc is equal to 30, and the minimum mass of the body to prevent it from moving, it is mc is equal to 15 kg. And the correct option here is 1. Next problem. The question number 8, the friction coefficient between two blocks shown in figure is mu and the horizontal plane is smooth. Here the two body is connected by the spring. Other end of the spring, spring is pivoted at the rigid support, and in the oscillation, you know, the maximum force on the system of bodies here body M and another body of small m is placed over it. The maximum acceleration of the system of bodies is omega square a. Here a is the amplitude. And because of that, since these two body having the maximum acceleration in this oscillation, the bodies of mass small m is placed over the body of capital M. The body of mass m experiences a pseudo force m omega square a. It is actually pseudo force. And because of this pseudo force, this body has the tendency to move rightward, that is, it will slide over the surface of the capital M. But friction acting on the body prevents this sliding, and the maximum friction acts is a max, let us say. If this pseudo force is greater than the maximum friction, so the body of mass small m will slide over the surface of capital M. Here both body will move together. Both body will move together if m omega square a is the pseudo force must be less than F max, that is maximum friction. If this pseudo force is less than the maximum friction or equal to the friction, maximum friction, then both body will move together or it will oscillate together. Here m and the angular frequency omega of the system of bodies, it is actually k by m plus m into a equal to mu m g, and the amplitude of the oscillations, that is maximum displacement of the oscillation, we can write it is mu g by k m plus m, and the right option here is 1. Next problem. Assuming the earth as a sphere of uniform density, acceleration due to gravity halfway towards the center of earth. G depth is actually G1 minus d by r, and it is G1 minus the value of d is given, it is half of the radius, so the value of this is half, and finally this is G by 2. So the simple problem asked here, very simple questions, direct approach. You have to just use the gravitational field intensity at a point at a depth d from the surface of the earth, and the right option here is 2. Next problem. If the fundamental frequency of a pipe closed at one end is 512 Hz, find the fundamental frequency of a pipe of same dimension but open at both ends. In the case of closed pipe, you know fundamental frequency it is lambda by 4, separation between antinode and node, and fundamental frequency for the close at one end, it is V by lambda, and we can write is V by 4L. L is the length of the tube. Or in the case of the both end open, we can get the antinode at the both free end, it is antinode and it is antinode. The length of this, it is L, and distance between two antinode is lambda by 2, and the fundamental frequency for the both end open tube is equal to V by lambda, and we can write it is V by 2L. So therefore it is 2 into NC, and it is given in the problem is 2 into 512, and the right option here is 1. So fundamental frequency of the open end tube is 2 times the fundamental frequency from the tube at close at one end. And if it is, we get only here the odd harmonics, harmonic 1, harmonic third harmonic, fifth harmonic, seventh harmonic. In the case of the both in open tube, all harmonics are present, and the fundamental here is 2 times the fundamental of the tube close at one end. Okay, next problem. Question number 11 here says a metal wire is first stretched beyond the elastic limit and then released. So before going to the option given here 1, 2, 3, 4, I would like to discuss load versus elongation graph. Load versus elongation. It is OA is the elastic limit up to which the Hooke's law is valid. That is, load can be given up to a point A, or if we withdraw the load across the one end of a wire, then the wire will get its original shape back. and beyond this point, if the load exceeded this point, so body here in this zone, it becomes elas plus and this zone is known as elas. So up to point O2A, the material have the elasticity and obeys the Hooke's law. If the value of load is exceeded the point A, beyond this point A, so body will get some plasticity. So body has both the nature elasticity and plasticity up to the point C, and C point is known as L point. If the load exceeded this point C, the body will completely convert into the plasticity. So this zone is plus. So here we can say it is elastic zone, it is elas plus, and it is plastic zone C to B, and B point is known as breaking point. B point is known as breaking point. So after this, body will break. B point is known as breaking point. Up to the point A, if the value of load is up to the point A, so body will get its original shape. If the load exceeded the point above the point A, beyond the point A, and if we withdraw the load, the wire does not get back its original shape, and it will have a permanent elongation, that is permanent strain will happen in the wire. So O prime is the permanent elongation because the value of load is exceeded the point A. Now we have to go through the, if we go through the four option here, the metal wire is first stretched beyond its elastic limit. So loses its elastic property completely, it will not contact. So this is not the right option here. Will contact to its original length. It is up to A point. If the load does not exceed the point A, so with the withdrawal of the load, the wire will get back its original shape. So 2 is not the right option here also. Will contact to its length at elastic limit. This is a correct statement, but not the right option here because the metal is stretched beyond its elastic limit. So 3 is not the right option here. Will contract, but finally length will be greater than the original length, since some permanent elongation will be occur in the wire. So right option here is 4. Next problem. Problem number 12. A particle is projected vertically upward from the surface of the earth with equal to 2/3 of the minimum value needed to escape the height which it rises above the surface of the earth. We have to find out the height. Change in potential energy del EP, you just remember it, this formula mg by 1 by h plus 1 by r. If a body is lifted up above the earth's surface at a height h, then the change in potential energy is equal to mg by 1 by h plus 1 by r. It is not mgh. Mgh is applicable for the small height, but in the gravitation chapter, the word change in potential energy, always it is mg by 1 by h plus 1 by r. So this is very important formula. A body is lifted. Its body is lifted with a kinetic energy then we can say the change in potential energy mg by 1 by h plus 1 by r equal to this. This will be the change in potential energy because of the kinetic energy provided to the body. And finally it is 1 by h plus 1 by r, it is 2g by v square. And in this way 1 by h would be 2g by v square minus 1 by r, and it is 2gr minus v square by r v square. So the height above the surface is actually, it is r v square by 2gr minus v square. It can be written as r by escape velocity. You know the value of escape velocity is root over 2gr. So 2gr can be replaced by escape velocity by v square minus 1. And finally the short form of this formula, that is the height attained by the particle, is k square minus 1. So here you can use this formula, the height attained by a body when it is projected up with some kinetic energy, it is equal to r is the radius of the earth, and it is k square minus 1, where k equal to we can say ve is the escape velocity and v is the velocity at which body is projected up. Okay, so this is very important formula that you can use in the examination hall directly, not necessary to deduce all this formula in the examination hall. You just remember this formula and you can get the quick answer in the examination hall, particularly in the examination hall. And h equal to, we can write it is equal to r, and the value of k you have to find out here, 2/3, that is 3 by 2. We can write it is value of k is equal to 3 by 2, and here 9 by 4 minus 1, and finally it is 4 by 5 into r. 4 by 5 into r means 0.8 r, and the right option here is 1. Next problem. Question number 13. A raindrop of radius 0.3 mm falling vertically downward in air has a terminal velocity of 1 meter per second. The viscosity of air is 18 into 10 to the power minus 5 poise. The viscous force on the drop is, it is direct approach. Just you know, from the Stokes law, the viscous dragging force, it is applicable for the, if the shape of the body is spherical, then we can apply the Stokes law, and in this case the viscous dragging force will be 6 pi eta r v. Eta is the coefficient of viscosity, r is the radius, and v is the velocity. And here the velocity given is the terminal velocity, that is, this is the maximum viscous force, you can say also, because when the body attains the terminal velocity, after that the velocity of the body does not increase. Okay, So value, it is 6 and the value of this is 1.4. The value of eta given is 18 into 10 to the power minus 5 and it is 0.3 10 to the power minus 2 centimeter, and the velocity is also 100 centimeter per second, and it is 6 into 3.14 into 18 into 3 into 10 to the power minus 5. So 6 roughly 3 into 3, it is, let us say, 9 into 18 approximately, and into 10 to the power minus 5. You know, 6 into 18 is 108, and if we take 101, 16 in 16.95, this is not the right option here. So 101 the common term of the two option given, and here the digit here is 108, and if it is taken as 0.9 and if it is taken minus 4, then 90% of 108, I think it is more or less 101.73 into 10 to the power minus 4 dyne, and the right option here is 1. So be careful, you know, here the power is 10 to the power minus 4, here the power is 10 to the power minus 5. Be careful about this. I have taken here, I have converted this 10 to the power minus 5 to 10 to the power minus 4, and it is taken 0.9. So 90% of 108 is more or less, it is 101 10 to the power 73. 0.73. Okay, next problem. Surface tension is due to friction force between the molecules. No, this is not the it is not due to the friction, and cohesive force between the molecules is the right option here. Gravitational force, adhesive force between the molecules. Adhesive force is the force force of interaction between the molecules of different material. So but surface tension is the intermolecular attraction between the molecules of the same substance. And gravitational force, you know, it is gravitational force is not the cause for the surface tension. It is different type of force. So right option here, surface tension, it is due to cohesive force between the molecules. Okay, simple questions. Next problem. A stone of mass 16 kg is attached to string 144 meter long and wheel in a horizontal smooth surface. The maximum tension the string can withstand is 16 Newton. The maximum speed of revolution of the stone without breaking it, you know. So if a body is it is rotating, let us say circulating with a velocity v, and because of this, you know, centrifugal force is equal to mv square by r. It is centrifugal force, and tension acts from body. So here mv square by r should not exceed the maximum tension that it can withstand. Okay, so the maximum velocity of the particle is equal to the maximum tension that can withstand by the wire or by the string here. So Vmax square is equal to, we can write RT by M, and finally Vmax square equal to RT by M, and Vmax is equal to RT by M. So it is also questions asked in direct approach. Just we have to put the value. The radius here given 144 meter long. 144 44, and tension maximum it can withstand is 16 Newton, and the mass of the body is given 16 kg. Finally, it is 12 meter per second, and the right option here is 4. Next problem. When a junction transistor is used as an amplifier in C mode, PNP in CE mode, okay, that is emitter, it is emitter and it is base and it is collector. This collector, I am drawing the figure NPN transistor in CE mode. NPN transistor in CE mode. This is base. Here the emitter current, it is entering. Base current, it is IB, and it is the collector current IC. C is the collector, it is actually P. C is the collector, it is actually P positive. So if we reverse, if the output circuit of the transistor is always in reverse bias, so P should get negative plate of the biasing battery, and here is the emitter. It is common to output circuit and input circuit. Similarly, in the base means in the input circuit, base is the N is the negative type semiconductor, that is majority carrier in this is electron, and NPN transistor, it is negative. So if we put negative here, then it is forward bias. It is PNP. In the case of PNP, if it is NPN, so this side becomes positive, and output side is also becomes positive plate of the battery is connected to the collector in the case of NPN transistor. Here it is reverse bias. This side is reverse bias and this side is forward bias. So simple, it is a simple schematic diagram I have drawn here of PNP transistor and C mode. And let us check the option given here. The emitter terminal is common to both input and output circuit. The emitter terminal is common to both input and output circuit. The base emitter junction is forward bias, while the collector junction is reverse bias. It is also the right statement. The base emitter junction is forward bias. It is also right statement. Emitter is common to base, and emitter is common to emitter is common to base, and emitter is common to collector. So the emitter terminal is common to input and output circuit. The base emitter junction forward bias, while the collector junction is reverse bias. The collector current can be controlled by changing the potential difference between the base and emitter. If we control the voltage here, if we increase the negative potential, that is forwarding biasing, so it will attract more electron, or it will repel more electron to the emitter, and because of that emitter current increase. And if the emitter current is increased, we can say henceforth the base current and collector current also go on increasing. So therefore we can say number 3, the collector current can be controlled by changing the potential difference between the base and emitter. It is also the right statement. So all 3, 1, 2, 3 are the right statement here, but not the correct answer, because you know the 4th option given, all the above statements are true. So right option here is 4. Right option here is 4. We have to choose the option 4 here. 1, 2, 3, all 3 are the right statement, but not the right option. So 1, 2, 3 are not the correct option. Option 4 is the correct option here. Next problem. So number 17, a car negotiating a car path of radius r. The road is banked at an angle theta. The coefficient of friction between the tires of car and road is mu. The minimum shape velocity on the road banked angle given is greater than angle of friction. So in a banked road, of radius of curvature r, you know, one car is moving along this path at an angle theta, and this theta is angle of friction. So normally if any body is placed on an inclined plane which having the angle of inclination greater than the angle of friction, so body is sliding down along the inclined plane. So if the car is moving along this inclined path, so car has the tendency to move down. This car has the tendency to move down because here, you know, theta is greater than lambda. So friction is not maximum static friction is not sufficient to prevent this body from the sliding down. So here's centrifugal force mv square by r car can travel without skidding down if mv square by r is greater than equal to mg tan theta minus lambda. V minimum velocity required for the car without skidding down is rg tan theta minus lambda. Similarly, car can travel without skidding up if the centrifugal force is less than equal to mg tan theta plus lambda. So in this case, maximum velocity square equal to rg tan theta plus lambda. So if we want to solve this type of problem, what is the minimum velocity of the car or maximum velocity of the car while negotiating the curb road, my suggestions to all of you, all the viewers, you just use this mg tan theta minus lambda for the minimum velocity and mg tan theta plus lambda for the maximum velocity. This is not the proper time here to deduce this formula. but you can use ready-made, you can use this directly in the case when you need the minimum velocity or maximum velocity. In the case of minimum velocity, you just use mg tan theta minus lambda, or in the case of maximum velocity, you have to just use mg tan theta plus lambda. Okay. So in this way, V minimum velocity equal to Rg tan theta minus lambda. Here tan lambda equal to mu. So after the trigonometrical expansion of this expression, finally we get Rg mu minus tan theta by 1 plus mu tan theta, putting the value tan lambda is equal to mu, and the right option here is 2. It is the minimum velocity of the car without skidding down. Next problem. Snow is more heat insulating than ice because air is filled in process of snow. Ice is more bad conductor. Ice is more bad conductor than snow. Density of ice is more, and reason is not found in option. Here air is a bad conductor. Air is a bad conductor. So in the snow is more heat insulating than ice, because in between the snow air is filled. So therefore the right option here is 1. Next problem. Question number 19. A wire Young modulus 2 into 10 to the power 11 Newton per meter square has length 1 meter and area 1 mm square. The energy stored in the wire when stretched by 3 mm is. So this is calculative problem. First of all, I would like to say the energy density. Energy density means potential energy per unit volume. It is actually half into stress into strain, and half into F by A. It is stress and strain equal to del L by L. Young modulus, it is F by A del L by L. So finally the energy density can be written as Y del L by L whole square. Elastic potential energy. Elastic potential energy EP equal to energy density half into del L by L whole square into volume of the wire. Volume of the wire is equal to A into L. Finally, the expression, it is half Y del L square by L into A. So it is the energy stored, potential energy stored due to elasticity of a wire. Simply you just keep in mind that the energy density equal to half into stress into strain. It is actual energy per unit volume, and in this way you can replace the stress by Young modulus into strain, and finally the potential energy stored in elasticity is equal to half into Y del L square by L into area. Okay, let us see the calculation of this problem. Calculation of this problem. EP is equal to half Y del L square by L into area. and half, you know, this is 2 into 10 to the power 11, the value of the Young modulus given in this problem, and the change in length is 3 mm. I think it is 3 into 10 to the power minus 3 whole square, and area 1 mm square. 1 mm square means 10 to the power minus 6 meter square. Be careful about it. And the length of the wire is 1, and finally this is 9 into 10 to the power minus 1, and right option here is 0.9 joule, and option 1 is the correct answer. Next problem. Question number 20. Which of the following is not the property of the equipotential surface? They do not cross each other. It is actually right statement. 1 is the right statement. It is true. They are concentric sphere for the uniform electric field. You know, electric field is perpendicular to the equipotential surface. Electric field is perpendicular to the equipotential surface. So they are concentric sphere for uniform electric field. This is not the this is actually false statement, and right option. Okay, rate of change of potential with a distance on them. Rate of change of potential. Equipotential surface means equipotential surface means potential is same at all points on the surface. So we don't get any change of potential with respect to time. So it is also true statement, and they can be imaginary sphere, a charged sphere, or any imaginary surface. Any imaginary surface is drawn, spherical surface is drawn around a charge. So all the points of the surface having the equal potential. So you can say the equipotential surface has the imaginary sphere. So it is also the true statement. So 1, 2, 1, 3, 4, all these three are the right statement of this all the equipotential surface, but they are concentric sphere for the uniform electric field. It is not true, it is false statement, but right option here. 2 is the correct option. And next problem of this video session. A hollow charged metal sphere has the radius r if the potential difference between its sphere and a point at a distance 3r from the center is V. So the question is, a hollow charged metallic sphere of radius r and a point P, potential difference V, it is equal to 1 by epsilon 0 Q by R. It is the potential, Q by, it is the potential on the surface, and potential at a distance 3r, it is Q by 3r. Therefore we can say Q by 4 pi epsilon 0 R, and it is 2 by 3. Then find the electric field, electric intensity at a distance 3r from the center. So electric field at the point P, we can get the electric field at this point is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 q by 3r whole square, and 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 r, it is actually 9 by r, and q by 4 pi epsilon 0 r equal to 3v by 2 into 1 by 9r, and finally it is v by 6r, and the right option here is 1. Next problem of this video session. The universal property of all substance, you can get this information from any basic text or particularly NCERT textbook. You just remember this, the universal property of all substance is paramagnetism. Okay, next problem. A parallel plate capacitor charged and charging battery is then disconnected. A parallel condenser, it is charged so it is actually switch off condition. Switch off condition means charge on the condenser, this is fixed, and the separation between these two plate of the plate condenser, let us say it is D. Capacitance decreases if the plate of the capacitor is moved further away, means then which of the following is not correct? Number 1, capacitance is epsilon 0 A by D and it is 1 by D. If D is increased, then capacitance of the plate parallel condenser decreases. The capacitance decreases, it is true. True, but not the answer. The charge on the capacitor increases. No, charge is fixed. So this is not the right option here. The voltage across the plate increases. Voltage. Number 3. V is equal to Q by C and it is proportional to D. So voltage of the plate increases, it is also true. True statement of this problem. And the electrostatic energy stored in the capacitor, energy is equal to half Q square by C and it is also proportional to D. So it is also true statement. So 1, 3, 4 are the true statement or right statement of this problem in this fact, but not the correct option, because you have to find out the not correct one. So 2 is the right option here. Next problem. Two parallel large thin metal sheets have equal surface charge density of opposite sign given by sigma 26.4 into 10 to the minus 12 coulomb per meter square. The electric field between these sheets. This is two sheets, metal sheets having the charge density, here negative charge density, here positive charge density. At any point, if this plate I have taken it is 1 and if this plate I have taken it is 2, so electric field due to the positive charge density is E1 it is right towards the negative charge, and electric field due to negative charge, it is also towards the direction of plate of negative charge. Okay, so resultant electric field, it is along the same direction, so simply it is E1 E2, and since both have the equal charge density, so it is 2E, and we can write it is 2 sigma by 2 epsilon 0, and finally the resultant intensity is sigma by epsilon 0. Okay, sigma given in the problem is 26.4 into 10 to the power minus 12, and the value of epsilon 0, it is 8.8 into 10 to the power minus 12, and the right option here, it is 3 Newton per coulomb, or you can say volt per meter, and the right option here is 3. Next problem. A magnetic needle is kept in non-uniform magnetic field. It experiences, if the magnetic field is uniform, and a magnetic needle is placed here, the force is MB, and force in this is MB, it is also force, and it is uniform magnetic field. You can get the torque here is equal to F into 2L. It is torque, it is not equal to 0, but net force on this is F minus F equal to 0. But when in the case is field is non-uniform field, it is non-uniform field. If we placed a magnetic needle here, force it is F1, and the force on the south pole it is F2. So you can get the torque as well as net force on this. Net force is on this is not equal to 0, because F1 not equal to F2, so net force on this needle is not equal to 0. So in the case when the field is uniform, it will feel magnetic, it will experiences the torque only, but net force on the needle is 0. But in the case of when magnetic needle is kept in non-uniform field, the force and as well as torque will act on the needle, and the right option here is 1. Okay, next problem. Question number 26. Two vessels of same volume contain same gas at same temperature. If the pressure in the vessel in the ratio 1:2, then we have to go through the 4 option. Here there is no specific question is asked, so each and every option we have to analyze is here. First of all, if we analyze this option 4, PV equal to nRT, and it is number of molecules by Avogadro number into RT. In this problem, V same for both gas and temperature is also same for both gases. So here we can say gas is also same gas, that is Avogadro number is also a constant and gas is same. So here the number of molecules of each gas is directly proportional to pressure of the gas. So the number of molecules 1:2 N2, it will be 1:2. So ratio of number of molecules is 1:4 given in this option number 4. So this is not the correct answer. The ratio of average velocity of each molecule, number 3, average velocity of each molecule is equal to 8 kT by pi m. So average velocity directly proportional to root T, that is the temperature of the gas. It is independent of the pressure and volume, whatever may be the, it is directly proportional to the root over of the absolute temperature of the gas. So number 3 is also not the correct option. Option 2, the ratio of root mean square velocity of each molecule. Root mean square velocity of each molecule, it is equal to 3 kT by m. Here K is the Boltzmann constant. It is also C proportional to root over T. Since the temperature is same for both gas, both the vessel. So option 2 is the right option here. And finally, we have to, though the answer is 2 in this problem already, we have already found the correct option here is 2, but option 1, let us check the option 1 for our better understanding. You know, if we want to get the total kinetic energy, it is actually degree of freedom into half RT into N is the number of moles. Since both the container having different number of moles, so total kinetic energy of the molecules will be 1:2, because number of molecules or number of mole is also, it is 1:2. So here total kinetic energy of the average kinetic energy of the gas is 1:2, but here the ratio of the average kinetic energy of each molecule, since it is question is asked each molecule, so for each molecule we can write, for each molecule average kinetic energy, E equal to degree of freedom F, and it is half kT. K is the Boltzmann constant and T is the temperature, absolute temperature of the gas. So average ratio of the kinetic energy of each molecule is equal to each molecule of the both of the vessel 1:1. So 1 is also not the right option here. Next problem, when light of wavelength lambda incident on an equatorial prism kept in its minimum deviation positions, it is found that an angle of deviation equals to the angle of prism itself. It is found angle of deviation is equal to the angle of prism itself. So minimum deviation is equal to angle of prism. You know, this is prism, the prism angle is A. We can get the deviation of the ray, deviation of the ray minimum deviation. In the place of minimum deviation positions, it is I equal to E and R, that is R plus R equal to A. And the refractive index, we have to find out the refractive index. Refractive index, you know, it is sine delta m plus a by 2 by sine a by 2. This is the refractive index of the prism. But in this problem, information given in this problem, the minimum deviation is equal to the minimum deviation of the prism is equal to the angle of prism, and it becomes sine A, and this is sine A by 2. Simply 2 by simple calculation, it is 2 cos A by 2. So mu is equal to 2 cos A by 2, and you know, equilateral triangle, the prism angle of this prism is equal to 30 degree, and this is 2 root 3 by 2, and finally the answer is root 3. Right option here is 1. Next problem. Light from two coherent sources, the same amplitude A and the wavelength lambda, illuminates the screen. The intensity of central maxima is I naught. For coherent sources, I1 plus I2 twice root I1 root I2 cos phi. Central maxima phi equal to 0, and the resultant intensity, it is equal to root over of I1 plus root over of I2 whole square, and it is given by the problem, it is I naught. Therefore I naught equal to 4I. Amplitude of the coherent sources is same, since intensity is directly proportional to the amplitude square. So intensity of the both the sources are equal. So central maxima intensity is 4I, but in the case of incoherent sources, for incoherent sources, resultant intensity we can write is equal to I1 plus I2 is the algebraic sum, and it is the vector sum, and it is 2I, and 2I equal to, we can write I naught by 2, and the right option here is 4. Next problem. An electron is moving on a circular path of radius r with a velocity v in a transverse magnetic field B. So E by M, that is specific charge for it will be, okay, you know, in a transverse magnetic field radius of this is r. We can write the radius r equal to p by b q. Charge particle is orbiting, let us say charge particle is orbiting q, and this is momentum mv by qb. Here q by m is equal to v by b into r. So this is the problem taken from the electromagnetism and in a straightforward question. So simple, you have to just write the orbital radius of the charge orbiting in a transverse magnetic field. It is momentum by charge into magnetic field, and in this way charge by charge per unit mass, that is specific charge of electron, is equal to v by br, and the correct option matches with 1. Next problem. A and B are two bulbs of rating power PA and PB in series. Actually, if A is glowing brighter than B, then the relation between rating power of A and B. Rating power. Rating power P equal to, it is actually V square by R. PA, V square by RA, and PB, rating power, V square by RB. V is it is also the rating voltage at a particular voltage, but in the since these two bulbs connected in series, it is supply voltage So in this circuit, current is same. In this circuit is, current is same. Current is same for both the bulb. Here, A is glowing brighter than B. So power consumption, this is consumption power. This is not rating power. What is the power consumed in this circuit? Power consumed by the bulb A, by power consumed by the lamp B. C for consumption. Since the current is same, I square R into A, resistance of this bulb is RA and resistance of this lamp is RB, is greater than I square RB. Therefore, we can say RA greater than RB. So, resistance of the bulb A is greater than the resistance of the bulb B, because this the lamp A consume more power than the consumption of the bulb B. Since if A is glowing brighter than B, so consumption of power of the bulb A is greater than the consumption of power of the bulb B. And in this circuit, since this circuit is series, so current is same for both the bulbs. So current is common, current is same for both the bulb. Here we can say from this information, the resistance of the bulb A is greater than the resistance of the bulb B. But In the rating power, V is not the supply voltage, V is the voltage with respect to which this bulb is, the resistance of the bulb is defined, and power and resistance of the bulb is defined. Okay. This is the rating power, and this part is the consumption power. It is the consumption power. It is given as is in problem. Therefore, we can say, rating power T proportional to 1 by R, and R A greater than RB. So from this conclusion we can say power of A is less than the rating power of A is less than the rating power of B, and right option here is 2. Okay, next problem. I think you have understood what I am discussing here. You have to don't mix up with the rating power and the consumption power. If we want to find out the rating power, then you have to use the formula V square by R. Since these two bulbs are connected in series, so in this case the current is same for both the bulb, and you have to use the loss of or consumption of the power is equal to I square R. Okay, next problem. If 70 calorie heat is required to raise the temperature of 2 moles of an gas from 30 degrees centigrade to 35 degrees centigrade, 35 degrees centigrade to record of an gas, then the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of same gas through the same range at constant volume. Actually, it is at constant pressure. So in Cp del T, it is, as per the problem, it is 70 cal at iso B process, 2 mole, and it is Cp, temperature change is 5, it is 70, so Cp is equal to 7 cal per mole per Kelvin. Okay, this is the molar specific heat of the gas at constant pressure. Clear? But we have to find out the same temperature change in the constant volume. So amount of heat required at constant volume is equal to NCV del T. This is 2, and CV temperature change is also, it is again 5. From the relation Cp minus Cv is equal to R, it is 7 minus Cv, and the value of R in calorie, in terms of calorie, it is near about 2 cal. We can write Cv is equal to 5 cal per mole per Kelvin, and this is 2 into 5 into 5, that means 50 cal heat is required to change the same temperature range at constant volume. Moving to the next problem of this video session, the region surrounding by a stationary electric dipole has. The region surrounding by a stationary electric dipole has electric field only, magnetic field only, both electric field and magnetic field, neither electric field nor magnetic field. It is not true. Stationary charge produce electric field around it, and the uniform moving charge produce magnetic field around it. Static charge produce electric field, uniformly moving charge produce magnetic field around it. So 1 is the right option, 2 and 3 are not the right option here. Next problem, simple problem. You have to just remember that when charge is a static condition, you can get the electrostatic field around it. When charge moving with a uniform velocity, so charge produce magnetic field around it as well as electric field. Okay, next problem. For a photoelectric cell, graph showing the variation of cutoff voltage with frequency f of the incident are represented by maximum kinetic energy as per the Einstein equation. It is h nu minus work function. If the maximum kinetic energy electron, if it is stopped by giving the negative potential to the anode with respect to the cathode with respect to anode, then the stopping potential EVS equal to, we can write h nu minus work function, and in the problem the cutoff voltage it is named as also cutoff voltage, stopping potential also known as cutoff voltage, and it is EV naught equal to h, frequency given in this problem is f, and minus work function, so V naught equal to h by E into f minus work function. It is y is equal to mx minus c, and x is equal to f and y equal to v naught. So if we put x equal to 0, so y is the minus c, that is it will intersect at the negative y axis. So the right option here is 4 simple questions. Next problem. Which of the following illustrates the particle nature of light? Particle nature, interference, it is actually wave nature. Interference is the wave nature of light. Interference actually it is wave nature. And diffraction, it is also wave nature. Total internal deflection, it is geometrical nature. It is also geometrical nature. But photoelectric effect, it is particle nature. Okay, so photoelectric effect is explained by Einstein. Photoelectric effect was explained by Einstein on the basis of the assumption that the light wave has the particle nature. Okay, and if the packet of energy is also known as photon, and photon has also the momentum energy and the pressure. It can create the pressure. You know, the number of photoelectrons comes out of the metal surface is directly proportional to the number of photon incident upon it, provided that it has the energy capable to eject out the electron from the metal surface. So the energy equal to work function or greater than the work function can emit the electron from the surface of metal. Okay, next problem. Consider the following statement A: an EMF can be introduced by moving conductor in a magnetic field. EMF, that is motional EMF induced by the conductor in a magnetic field. B, and EMF can be induced by changing the magnetic field. Both A and B is true. Consider the following statement. A, an EMF can be induced by moving conductor in magnetic field. Or and B, statement B, an EMF can be induced by changing the magnetic field. Okay. you know, motional EMF. Motional EMF E equal to BV L sine theta, or we can write L dot V cross B. So in an uniform magnetic field, if we if the conductor is moving with some velocity, then we can get the induced EMF across it is E, and it is equal to L dot V cross B. So statement A is true. The statement A is true, and it is for the statement A. And statement B, we can write, for the case of statement B, induced EMF equal to d phi dt from the Faraday's law, and it is ddt of A B cos theta. A cos theta, let us say the area of the coil or the conductor is fixed, and the projection of the magnetic field to the area is also fixed. So the rate of change of magnetic field is also produce the induced EMF E. So B statement is also true. So right option here, both A, B, 2. Okay, and A, B, 2, 3, 4 are not the correct statement here. And in this way I have discussed 1 to 35 questions for section A. I hope that you are all getting well what I am discussing here, and best of luck, best wishes from my side for the upcoming NEET examinations. I will continue this discussion in the section B in my next video session. Okay, that's all.